Hey, your favorite author is back again. I did a short video on creativity and I thought I'd kind of expand. I didn't get enough time, but I'm kind of new to YouTube, so I'm going to do a longer video about creativity. And I'm so sick of these gurus. You can find them all over online telling you how to walk, how to talk, how to breathe, how to exist in the world of writing, and it's all a bunch of baloney. It's all the advice they give you is trained and conditioned to keep you in a well-rounded format that is pleasing to an industry. And I find that hideously disgusting and grotesque. So that's why I started making these videos on YouTube. You write for you. You write from your perspective. You write the story you want to tell. I was recently reading over someone's story they wrote short story. They wanted me to look at it to see if it was any good. And a funny thing about that, they always ask, is it any good? It doesn't matter if it's terribly written, if it comes from the heart, and that's a piece of your soul. Yes, especially, I could tell right away if it's a piece of your soul. Of course it's good. I knew another writer who, she was an editor, I think, for some publishing company. But she wanted to write novels, and I think she edited picture books, and she wrote some too, but they were all very standardized, written for a market. And I thought, oh, she hated her job too. But she wanted to write novels, and I just shook my head, and she said, well, I'm a veteran of the industry, 40 years. So that doesn't matter. You've never written a novel, and I can tell you as a novelist, if you're not writing from the heart, there's no point. And she snapped, lost it, said, what about the money? Oh boy, we better start over. We better think again, because writing doesn't work that way. But the industry's full of it. They want everything to be well contained within a box and formatted within the lines to sell it to you, the consumer. And that's no fun to read. So I shy away from a lot of new books because of that, unfortunately. Anyways, I think in the last one I showed a couple covers from my novel because it got me to thinking. There was a gal I watched on YouTube who was telling you everything wrong with your novel, and that's often what they tell you in these videos, is everything wrong with what you're doing. And I thought, that is such baloney. But one of the things she went over was the cover of your book and everything wrong with it, and you need to hire this person, you need to hire that person, you need to do this, you need to do that, so it'll sell and be appealing to these people. I thought, well, who's consuming it? I don't know if I want these robotic people consuming it. I want the right audience to consume it. The audience that can connect with what I'm doing. So, but in case you don't know it, I did decided to abandon all hope and make the covers for all my own books because I'm an artist as well. Why not? And I'm sure everything I did is wrong. One thing I learned about editing and writing is if you talk to agents and editors, they'll tell you everything. If you say, here, look at this work, and they'll tell you everything's wrong with it. How come all my books got published? You just got to find the right people. But anyways, here, I'll show you I don't know if I did in the last one, but anyways, I'll get a better view of it. We'll sit in the light here on the lawn. There's a cover from my novel. Oh, there we go. The Tale of Yelzelski and the Unicorn. And I drew that by hand, and I don't know how many people told me you can't do pencil. I love that cover. Yes, you can do pencil if you want, and I think it fits just fine for this story. And, do I really care how flashy it is? No, because then it's going to look like every other book on the shelf. That's no fun. Do you really want to... That's the one thing that bothers me a lot, is when they confine it to a box like that, what they're really saying is, read these 5 stories because we've spent a lot of time figuring out how to sell you those 5 stories. I don't want to read the same 5 stories over and over and over and over again. I want something new, fresh, and exciting. I want something from the soul. You know, I don't... Thanks for... I've known other writers too. They've had their books published and then severely altered to suit the needs of that publishing company so it looks and feels just like other books. What a horrid, horrid existence. I would hate to live in that world, but a lot of people do, unfortunately. And then, oh, here, I'll just show you real quick. And that's the cover of my poetry book, Where Our Feelings Go to Die. And I was told, no, everything's wrong. You know, they complained about these colors in here. You know, what is this? I don't understand. Why is there a giant mushroom here? Well, you don't need to understand. You didn't write the book. So you don't get to make the call. And I went with that. That's a poetry book, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But I get to make those decisions. And if you are hampered, if you're worried, you know, am I not meeting the industry standard, then you need to step away from... That's what I did. That's how I got published. I stepped away from the industry, trying to chase the industry very early on, and then I tried to get published my first few works, and then I gave up on it and decided I'm just going to write for me, because it seems like all I'm doing is chasing a dragon. And over time, after I'd written a lot of things, a lot, and I wrote them all for me and ignored all the rules, all the YouTube gurus, I ignored all of it and threw it all away. And I finally got published, which I don't have that book with. And I did the cover for that book, and that cover is fabulous. But yeah, so the point of this video, I guess, would be to ignore the industry standard, ignore those YouTube gurus, and set it all aside and write for you. There's no one else you can write for. Thanks for listening along tonight. Have a good night. Oh, and you can check out my books too if you want. I did a reading of each first chapter on YouTube. So, all right, signing off. J.E. Krieger, author of the books of 9 and 10 Penance.